Good morning, friend. Hey, I've got a story I want to share with you this morning that I think will bring great courage to you. And hopefully that courage will spread. And this is a time when we need a little bit of courage. Not just courage, but encouragement. You can be given courage through the Word of God in its encouragement. I want to share this story with you. It's out of the book of Acts in chapter 27. Paul is on a ship and he's with all of these men on the ship, and the storm hits, and they're for days, for weeks, they're out in the ocean in this storm, eventually crashing on an island. Paul says that he's going to encourage these men, and he does it in a way that seems a little bit different to us. He encourages them to eat. They're in a shipwreck. They've been discouraged, if you will, for weeks and weeks. And now all of a sudden, Paul says, hold on. Listen to what he says in Acts chapter 27, verse, I want to say about 34, 35, 36. He says, therefore I urge you to take some food, for it will give you strength. For not a hair is to perish from the head of any of you. And when he had said these things, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of all, and broke it and began to eat. Then they all were encouraged. They got courage from watching Paul take this simple step of eating. They were all encouraged, and they ate some food themselves. And when they had eaten enough, they lightened the ship and moved on. You know, the interesting thing about Paul was he understood sometimes it just takes people, one person really, to do one small, simple act that will give courage to not only themselves, but to others. And in the midst of a storm, in the midst of everything that's going on, Paul says, you're looking a little hangry. I think one of the things we need to do here is just stop, give thanks to God for what he's given us, and eat. And eat, of all things. So Paul says to them, let's eat. And so they see Paul breaking bread and eating, and then all of a sudden they all jump in and start eating. I find it funny that sometimes all it takes is a small act, just a little act of courage to bring courage to everybody else in the crowd. I have a story that I heard from a friend, a member of his family fought in World War II. And they were in the Battle of the Bulge. It was freezing weather. They were in a bunker down in the ground, and they really didn't know what was going to happen to them. It was one of the largest battles in the history of that war, and it was an important battle, and it was difficult to fight that battle. Well, after many days of being without food, without ammunition, without proper clothing, and all of the things that come, that come with the battle that they were in, that they're trying, the things they needed, they didn't know what to do. But all of a sudden they heard the roar of planes overhead, and it was American and English planes, and they were dropping supplies. And he said that the supply box landed about 50 yards from where they were. Now they were hunkered in the ground, and they knew that the enemy was not far away. And so for hours they sat, and they, hundreds of men in different foxholes, they were looking at these boxes that were out there. And finally, one brave soldier got out of his foxhole and began to run right toward the boxes. And so that encouraged everybody. They all ran, and they all got their boxes. They're covering each other, and they're on the ground. They're crawling. They're getting and they're getting them back to the foxholes. And finally, they get back, and they discover that the boxes had Hershey's candy bars in them. I said, man, it's the best thing they ever ate in all of the war and all of the time that they could remember. It was the best thing that they could ever have. But it only took one man, one person, to run out there, great courage, to inspire others to do the same. Whether it's Paul in the New Testament, whether it's somebody in fighting a battle in a war, or whether it's just you and I today in our daily life, we need to realize, hey, if I can encourage somebody by just one small act, then maybe God gets the victory. I want to encourage you today. Do something that you wouldn't normally do. Meet a need that you wouldn't normally take the time to meet. Get involved in a way that you wouldn't normally get involved. show some courage and see if you can encourage others in the same way, just like Paul did in Acts 27. Stand firm, trust in God, and have courage. Hey, don't be a stranger. I'll see you real soon. Have a great day, North Albany.